If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
For all of his attorney's insinuations about FBI impropriety, Michael Flynn told the judge he did not wish to challenge the case. Defense attorneys questioned why Flynn was not told of the consequences of lying to the FBI prior to his interview. But in court, Flynn said he was aware lying to the FBI is a federal crime, and he affirmed his guilt. Flynn faces up to 6 months in prison, but was so cooperative with special counsel Robert Mueller, he recommended no prison time.
No prison time. Well, he's not going to prison because they delayed his sentencing. So he's not going to go to prison, at least not yet. And it's very interesting to watch the way this thing, the judge has just, gone from one direction to the other. And remember that Comey and everybody else is saying, yeah, he shouldn't do any prison time. He's helping out. He's talked to several people. He's doing the things that he's doing on his own, right? But it's very interesting because the judge is just kind of like, hey, I'm going to go off script and say what I want to say.
Before he handed down the sentence, the judge scolded Michael Flynn. This crime is very serious, he said, in the White House, in the West Wing, by a high-ranking security officer who up to that point had an unblemished career of service. The judge said he could not hide his disgust for Flynn's offense and told him, arguably, you sold your country out.
Sold your country out. In other words, was treason. But Comey and the Special Investigation Unit, that's what I'm calling, right? The special counsel. They're like, no, there was nothing. He didn't do anything treasonous. What did he do? Well, he did some stupid things. First and foremost, he lied, right? Martha Stewart went to prison. Why? She lied. Not because of what she did. What she did was a civil thing with the stocks. She paid a fine for that. She lied. She tried to cover it up. She had some harsh words for Comey, by the way, long before any of this. But she lied. James Comey, last week, actually, the tape that you can barely find anywhere, but when you have crack reporters like we do here at the Chad Benson Show, you can find it. And the way that they approach Flynn, the way that they did these things is very interesting.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. If the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought it's early enough. Let's just send a couple guys over.
Woo! And that's what they did. They sent a couple guys over, and they knew exactly what they were doing. And the dispute is whether or not they told him he needed to even have an attorney present. Do you need that? Should I have an attorney here? Should I not have an attorney here? Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. They're like, nah, you don't have to worry about that. And there are some questions here. I think some very valid questions when it comes to what he's done, right? Should he been talking to, the Russian ambassador? Well, he is. And this, let's all first focus on a few things. This is after the election, not pre-election, after the election. All right. This wasn't Wildcat. This is after the election. So they knew he had already spoken to him because they heard the phone calls. He lied about something he didn't need to lie about because it was something that really didn't matter. Some people saying, you know what? You could have said none ya business who I talked to. What are you guys doing listening to me? He wasn't registered as a foreign agent. He's doing work on behalf of the Turkish government and didn't register. That's his biggest issue here. Right? I don't know what he took, like $30,000. But when the government comes, they have an unlimited amount of money and time and resource. And if they want to, they can crush your soul. Just the way it goes. That's the reality of it right there. That is the reality of it. So at some point in time, you have to make a decision. I can fight this, and maybe I win. Probably. I have an opportunity to win. But the reality is when all is said and done, am I going to have anything left? That's just it. Am I going to have anything left? What are they going to do? They're going to come for my kids? What else is going to potentially happen to me? Alan Dershowitz.
Well, I hope the judge will ask some very, very hard questions. Questions about whether or not the plea was a valid plea. I don't believe it was a valid plea. I think that Flynn was coerced into pleading guilty to a crime of which he was innocent.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that. He was coerced. Well, how was he coerced? Because what they're saying is, we're going to get you for something. So if you say you're guilty on this, we won't go after you for other things. Remember, unlimited resources, unlimited time against limited resources and limited time. Which one will win?
He was coerced by threats against his son, threats against his fortune. And the reason I think he was innocent is even if he told an untruth, which it seems as if he did, it was not a material untruth.
And that's vitally important, non-material. It's not material to anything we're talking about. So whether or not I told a truth or untruth about this right here, it's not important. I think this is one of those ones when you look at somebody like James Comey and some of these other things, that this is where people go, well, wait a minute here. I feel like we're on the off the beaten path of what we were trying to find out what was going on here. And you're going after anybody you possibly can to get to that guy. That's the guy you want. So by any means necessary, I think you could throw it out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. I find this to be interesting. So Les Moonves, if you guys don't know who he is, Moonves, I don't know how you said. He had $120 million parachute, golden parachute, CBS. This is $120 million bucks, got fired. That was going to be his parachute out. But in this day and age, when they're paying people out left, right, and center for the hashtag #MeToo world, they decided they're not going to do it. And it's very interesting when you hear them talk about some of this stuff. Like this is a guy who, man, just yesterday I was reading about the TV show Bull. They paid $9.5 million to Elijah Dushku, who was only on 3 episodes, but was supposed to be a recurring love interest of the star of the show. And apparently he said some things and she felt uncomfortable. He addressed it. She addressed it with him. They didn't like it. They wrote her out of the show. She got $9.5 million confidentially to go away. And all of this stuff was happening underneath there. And it was like rampant craziness going on, and it's all cropping out.
Eliza Dushku, an actress best known for a role in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hey, to each his own, man.
Signed on in March of 2017 to play in 3 episodes on the hit show Bull starring Michael Weatherly.
Dr. Jason Bull, can you help my son? Absolutely.
Yeah. $9.5 million for 3 episodes. That's not bad, right? So now, because they wrote her out, they're going to give her that. Then you've got Les Moonves, who's dealing with all of this stuff, and he was supposed to get a huge payout, but they said, we did some investigation, and some of the stuff you did breached the contract, and no.
Les Moonves is firing back after CBS announced its former chairman won't see a penny of his $120 million severance package, citing breach of contract, malfeasance, violation of company policy, and his willful failure to cooperate fully with the company's investigation. In a statement released overnight, Moonves' attorney disputes CBS's ruling, maintaining the embattled former executive denies having any non-consensual sexual relations during his time at the company, and that the press was informed of these baseless conclusions before Mr. Moonves.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. He's like, wait a minute here. All right, maybe I did do some of those things, but it was all consensual, right? What are you doing throwing this stuff out at me? $120 million to get fired. When you think about all the stuff we talk about, and I was thinking about this the other day, you'll hear about these. So Elijah Dushku gets $9.5 million to go away, right? And they were going to pay him $120 million to go away. And then you'll hear about somebody get shot in the street and the family settles for like $800,000. So apparently getting murdered or getting shot isn't as fruitful, if you will, in the bank account as being a CBS employee who, how should we say, had some issues sexually with the upper management and or the stars. That's insane. That is insane. And I love how it's a confidential, but we paid her $9.5 million. My goodness me. I wish somebody would sexually harass me to the tune of $9.5 million. And when Chad, that's not right. Hashtag me too. I saw today that this year, it is one of the lowest levels of companies having Christmas parties. And I've talked to a couple of friends of mine who normally had some big Christmas parties for his brokers, and he said he won't do it anymore. It's just like he won't hire female employees. They won't anymore. And he says he separated the men and the women. He's like, I just can't afford it. I can't afford it. And even if it's something that somebody said in jest, I end up paying out the nose. So I've got to separate it. He goes, and this is one thing I found to be very enlightening. He said to me, I will never hire a beautiful woman again, no matter how talented she is. And I'm like, wow. I could see that, though. I could, right? It may be wrong. It may be wrong. But when you hear about, $9.5 million for this and $120 million parachute, but he's going to fight it and all this stuff, I can see that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Don't lose sleep. I'm not over that or anything. I was reading a great article today about how sleep affects us. $411 billion is what they think that productivity-wise we lose a year because of sleep. And that's amazing. Don't lose any sleep. Get yourself a great night's sleep and give good night's sleeps. MyPillow. MyPillow is incredible. Great stocking stuffer. Make great presents. And it is the gift that keeps on giving the whole year and then some. 100% machine washable and dryable cotton made right here in the USA. 10-year warranty. And right now, 4 pillows, right? 4 pillows. 2 premium pillows, 2 go-anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping. And here's the other great thing. They've extended their money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2019. A deal like this you will not find anywhere. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. It's MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call them 800-983-4975 and use the promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. A lot of stuff to get today. Corey Lewandowski is going to join us. We'll talk about his new book. We're going to talk about what's going on with Trump, and I'm going to ask him, would you like to be that chief of staff person? It is the Chad Benson Show.
That sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
1, 2, 3. Penny Marshall's career took off in 1976 when she was cast in a Happy Days spin-off, Laverne and Shirley.
Your first sincere proposal of matrimony.
Yeah, the wedding's this weekend.
In a 1979 interview, ABC's Barbara Walters asked Marshall if she knew she had become a success.
I guess I know it, but it wasn't quite this.
Marshall began directing. Big in 1988 was the first movie directed by a woman to gross over $100 million. Her other films included Awakenings and A League of Their Own.
Penny Marshall passed away today, age 75. Complications from diabetes. Her brother, Gary Marshall. A lot of people thought that was her dad because Gary Marshall always looked old, right? You go back and you look at Gary Marshall. He always looked like he was old. A lot of people thought that was her dad. And in fact, it wasn't. That was her brother. They made quite a duo. And, of course, League of Their Own, Big, just to name a few, passed away today at age 75. And I was joking about this. I'm thinking, my God, age 75. We've talked about this before. You meet some people in life and you're thinking to yourself, man, 75, you look great. Or 60, you look great. And you meet other people and you think, wow. You look like you're struggling, and lo and behold, 75th birthday today for Keith Richards. Think about that for a second. And we were going over the ages earlier because the Stones are on tour. Mick, 75. Charlie Watts, 77. Wyman, 82 years old. Getting ready to go out on tour. That's insane. And think about the hard living they have done, right? Wouldn't you agree, producer Phil? I mean, even, okay, Keith Richards, we joke about that, but all of them probably have done a little bit of hard living.
I would think so, yes.
I would think so. I would definitely think so. And, Mick just had a kid, and, God, they're just out there doing it. They're just out there doing it. Penny Marshall passed away at age 75, each and every day at this time. It does not matter what time of year it is. We bring you Christmas cheer throughout the year, but we also give you things like this, your urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
All right. Producer Phil, when I say the word, hey, man, I'm going to make some bread, what does that mean?
Money.
Money. Dollar bills, yo. Bread. Money. How about this, man? I got to get out there and gain that grain. Gain the grain, yeah. Gain the grain. Grain. Now, we've gone from bread to grain, potentially gluten-free, I don't know. But gaining the grain is the new way to say make that cheddar or make some bread. Gain the grain equals money. That's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you.
That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
This morning, we also completed the process to issue a new regulation banning bump stocks.
The Department of Justice released finalized guidance this morning banning bump stocks, which can effectively turn semi-automatic rifles into machine guns. Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock attached bump stocks to his AR-15 rifles, killing 59 people in October 2017. People who currently possess bump stocks can turn them into the ATF or destroy them. A DOJ official said there are tens of thousands of bump stocks in the United States, but that it's difficult to obtain a specific number.
Yeah, they say it's about 500 million people plus that have it. They have 90 days to destroy that, melt it, do whatever you want to it, or turn it in. The fight will be on. Many people won't fight, but there's going to be a group of people say, look what you're doing here, taking this away, and it doesn't really matter because this really didn't do anything, and I could create this that isn't even that, and I don't want to hear it. Don't shoot the messenger. Do with it what you will. I didn't do it. It was Trump. It was his department. They decided this was something to do. But you got to have that person that chimes in always. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. How about this? Let's talk a little bit of Flynn. Let's also talk about extreme views. Wait till you hear this. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It was 2013 when a Sonoma County Sheriff's deputy pulled up on 13-year-old Andy Lopez. Lopez was walking down the street with what looked like an AK-47. It turned out to be a replica. Lopez was shot and killed. There were protests, but the deputy was cleared of any wrongdoing. Now Sonoma County is paying the Lopez family $3 million to settle a civil rights lawsuit.
But Sheriff Rob Giordano says that deputy did what he was trained to do.
Our deputy was faced with a weapon that looked like a real weapon that day, and we can't change that fact.
Yeah, and what did we just talk about earlier? They're giving him $3 million. They took his life, and there was no wrongdoing, right? There was zero wrongdoing as far as from the deputy. It was a horrible situation. It was a replica gun. Some of these guns look so real. They're getting $3 million. Elijah Dushku, I hope I said her name right. She's beautiful. Can I say that? I feel if you compliment somebody nowadays, like you say, oh, she's pretty, you're like, oh, now look what you've done, Chad. You've opened up a can of worms. You owe her. But she was on the show Bull. She didn't like what was going on with Weatherly, the guy that's the star of Bull. And they paid her $9.5 million to settle. He made some offhanded remarks, talked to her about some stuff, sexual nature, I guess hit on her. She felt uncomfortable. They addressed the issue, and then they wrote her out of the show, and they paid her $9.5 million. You over here, kid, you're worth $3 million, your life, that's all you're worth to your family, and you're worth $9.5 million because you felt uncomfortable. Maybe I'm a jerk, right? Phil, does that make me a jerk? I feel like it should make me a jerk. But I feel like people are also asking the question, well, that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right at all. It's December. Always remember, stocks are plummeting. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
This is typically one of the best times of the year for stocks. Stocks tend to rally. They call it a Santa Claus rally around this time, but not this year. This is the worst December for stocks since the Great Depression in 1931. Stocks are now down more than 10% from their highs set earlier this year. That means we're in what's called correction territory. If you put $100 into the stock market at the beginning of this year, you would have $95 today.
And that's okay. And I'll tell you why, you double down, you triple down. Smart money is going to cash right now because they're looking out at 2019 and the potential of what may be coming.
Think of the markets as both a forecaster of the economy as well as a driver. When people look at the stock market, these wild swings, it can impact their behavior, how much money they spend going forward. And now you're starting to hear from economists that R word, recession, looking over the next 2 years. That's something that can become a very real possibility as these wild swings impact how we behave as consumers.
Yeah, as we behave as consumers, what's going on out there. But smart money, and you look at people who are big-time investors, whether it's Warren Buffett and several other ones, what they're doing is when the marketplace slows down, when the marketplace falls off, when the marketplace starts to cool, that's when they look around. When there's panic in the streets, or what they used to say, when there's blood on the streets, is when there's an opportunity to make a fortune. And I think that is very real right now. It sounds weird, but from an investment standpoint, if you've got money in cash, you look around right now, chance to pick up bargains, because what happens in the correction world, two things will start to happen. The average investor is going to panic, and they're going to pull themselves out of situations they shouldn't be in, because that's what happens. Remember, psychology, fear, no matter what it is, the fear of losing, the fear of missing out, whatever's going to happen will cause you to do stupid things. People are taking profits, right? Grab some profits where stuff may be overbought at this point and they've got inflated prices, and those will come back down. They're looking around. They're absolutely looking around. Plus, smart investors are looking around going, there's going to be a lot of buybacks come next year. A lot of companies who start buying back. So I'm going to be in cash, ready to get into a situation where I know I'm going to make some money. It's going to be very interesting. It is. Next year it is. Very, very interesting. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Of course, the big news of the day.
At first, Michael Flynn appeared relaxed and told the judge he was guilty and ready to be sentenced. His mood visibly changed after a scolding from the judge, who said he was so disgusted by Flynn's lies to the FBI that he considered sending him to prison, despite a recommendation by the special counsel for no prison time. Flynn opted to delay his sentence to give him the chance for more cooperation, and he'll return to court in March.
So March is when he's coming back, and there's several reasons. Not only the chance that he's going to cooperate with special counsel, but also some people that he worked with are indicted as well, but has nothing to do with the Trump, has nothing to do with the campaign, has nothing to do with any of that stuff, also being foreign agents, also not reporting the fact that they were, quote-unquote, foreign agents and lobbyists. So it's an interesting situation. It really is. I look at this, this whole thing. I mean, you've got so much of this crap. And today you've got in the USA Today, front page, by the way, of the USA Today, getting very little run, is the guy who broke the story with the Steele dossier, right? The guy from Yahoo who broke the entire thing, Steele dossier, all of which this is predicated on. This entire thing was the Steele dossier and the whole 9 yards. On the front page says, the guy's claims, this ex-British agent, they're likely false. There's really nothing there. I mean, there's some stuff there about people who are getting in trouble because they've done some stuff or they tried to further themselves and make some money on the side and do some other things. And they were talking to the Russians, but they probably would have talked to anybody. And let's be real. Would we be having the same conversation about Flynn today if he was talking to China? Probably not. If he was talking to Iran? Probably not. But because of Russia, because of Trump, and that's what it feels still like for a lot of people out there, smarter heads out there saying, look, I'm not saying that he hasn't lied, that he hasn't done some unscrupulous things. I'm not saying any of that. And I think if you go to this world of the District of Columbia, right, and you look around the District of Columbia and you see all these people, these lobbyists and these politicians, and you uncover all of the things, you shine the light and flip over the rocks that they're standing on, and you look deep, I bet you find a lot of dirty things and a lot of people that they're attached to who've done dirty things. But the light's not on them. The light's on Trump. But when you've got the guy who broke the story about the dossier coming out saying, yes, that was probably all a bunch of crap. Probably most of it's lies, right? Like, there may be a kernel of truth here and there. You know what I mean? But you filled in way too much around it. And because of that, look what happened. But Flynn has got he's got till March, and we shall see what happens. We shall see what happens. Because today was one of those things where he went in there, and I think he thought, the judge hammered him at one time, called him treason. Do you think you've committed treason? And that's when the prosecution's like, wait, what? We're not even, this isn't, no, treason. And then the judge came back later and apologized, said, that wasn't a good, that was too much. I'm sorry for that. I don't know. It's a very interesting situation when it comes to this, because I still think that he, in some ways, is kind of getting the short end of the stick when it comes to this situation, because he's been roped in. Right? So he got roped in a little bit. I look at him more like Gomer Pyle than I do some sort of mastermind. And I think he got excited about his jobs. He got in over his skis. He was talking to people. He was trying to get ahead of the game. But a lot of this has nothing to do with Russia and the conversation. It has a lot to do with Turkey and not reporting it. He got, $10,000 for his speech here, $30,000 for this, that, and the other for Erdogan and the whole 9 yards. I think there's a lot of that's in this, but it's about, to me, getting the guy at the top. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking at. And so several other people have pointed out that, judges, that says this is really all about the dude at the top more than it is you in front of him.
If you're shipping those packages on your own and you want to beat Santa's sleigh, time is running out. For expedited shipping, the last days are tomorrow and Thursday for the United States Postal Service and UPS. For the true procrastinators among us, you have that FedEx same-day delivery option on Christmas. But of course, the longer you wait, the more you're going to pay.
Yeah, it is a week. I mean, can you believe that? We're a week away from Christmas. A week from tonight, we will be relaxing with our families, fighting with our families. Some of you will be going to movies, right? Some of you be out there watching movies. You ever do a movie, Producer Phil, on Christmas? You ever done a movie?
No, I never have.
I have done movies on Christmas. I like it. It's fun. It's crazy because it's so weird. You go on Christmas Day, and it's a zoo. It is so many people. Yeah, but I'll be relaxing, enjoying myself, hanging out with my three-legged cat. Saw my cat for the first time. So for those of you who are new to the show, a couple weeks ago, my cat got shot. His leg was just somebody shot him with a pellet gun, And it was far more damaging than we initially thought. Because he got hit by a car, or maybe got hit by a golf cart because we have a lot of golf carts around us. Or originally I looked at it, I said he must have been attacked by a dog. It probably wasn't a coyote because it was light outside, and they usually don't do that. And so when we took him in, somebody shot him with a pellet gun, and the little fragments of the gun looked like a little bullet, like a real bullet. And there was nothing they could do. They could not save the leg. So last night, I've been gone so much, and he had it amputated on Friday. And this is the sad thing. So they called the family. They found a microchip. When we first took him in, they're like, no, he doesn't have a microchip. Because he just kind of came to our house and he never left. And we're like, oh, this is weird. And we kept trying to find him. We posted stuff around. Oh, somebody come take the cat. Whose cat is this? Beautiful cat. Amazing cat. So we took him in after he'd been shot. His leg was dangling there on a Saturday. He's bleeding. So we take him in and they're like, there's no microchip. So when they went to do the surgery, they're like, oh, we found a microchip. And they call the family, and the family's like, oh, my God, you found him. His name was Norman. We don't call him Norman. So we got a new name for him. So they're like, oh, our kids thought he died or was eaten by a coyote, and we were kind of bummed about it. That's great. And they're like, yeah, but he got shot in the leg, and we're going to have to take his leg. And they're like, oh, well, how much? And they're like, well, it's going to be X amount of dollars. Like, well, just put the cat to sleep. Well, there's a family here that's, these people have these people have this cat that they found it and they're willing to pay for it. And they're like, yeah, well, if you're not going to put him to sleep, let them take it. So we've got it now. So I went home last night. I had seen him for 6 days. And last time I saw him, his leg was all dangling. And he would sit down and his leg would flop over his head. It was like, oh. So they shaved his leg. And, if you've ever seen a cat without its hair, it's small. He's big. And then his hair's gone, and he looks tiny, and there's this nub right there, and he's hopping around on his little nub. Looks all Civil War style. So sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Who would shoot a cat? I don't get it. The guy a couple weeks earlier this week that threw the dogs out on the Jersey Turnpike or whatever. I just don't. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? How you treat animals? And yes, we eat animals. I get that, but. How you treat your pets, stuff like that, that's just sick. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Guess what, kids? I got a question of the day, and it's funny because I'm going to post something on the old Instagram at Chad Benson Show on actually one of the answers on my question of the day. We'll talk about that straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
The Carlton dance debuted more than a quarter century ago on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Actor Alfonso Ribeiro's character Carlton joyfully swung his hips and his arms while lip-syncing that Tom Jones song. Fast forward to now. On the video game Fortnite, you can make your avatar do a dance the game calls Fresh with the same moves and very similar music. Ribeiro is suing, saying the game's profiting from and exploiting his creative expression. He joins the rapper 2 Milli and the internet star Backpack Kid, who does a dance called Floss. They too say Fortnite ripped off their moves.
It's a dance move, right? So if the little character does a breakdance move where it spins on his back or does the kick worm, can the first person come back? I mean, that's Carlton, the Floss Kid, right? And I don't know who the other person with Little Millipede or whatever his name was. That's probably not even right. How much whiter can you sound, Chad? I'm so white right now I can haunt a room. But, because he says he's trying to trademark it. But let's say you're playing in the World Cup, right? So you score a goal, or you're playing in the Super Bowl, and you do the Carlton. Are you going to be sued for it if they get it? And here's the other thing. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I don't know who owned the show, but couldn't they say that that's our property because you played a character on our show, and because you played a character on our show, it's our property, and you owe us that money? You would think you'd be flattered. You would think. You'd be like, oh, that's awesome that they're doing that. But apparently not. Apparently it's all about the dollar bills, yo. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet us. I asked a silly question today because I'm in that mood, man. I'm kind of just, all of this crap we're talking about, Flynn and all these people. It's like, So I said to self, what makes me laugh? Mannheim Steamroller. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, the Mannheim Steamroller and Trans-Siberian Orchestra somehow ended up behind an opera house in an alley somewhere, and they were to throw down. Who would win such things? Who would be victorious in a battle? It's kind of 50-50 right now. I'm surprised. TSO is 52% of the vote. 52%, that's it. Now, producer Phil, you like TSO because they're a little bit more hard rocking than Mannheim?
Absolutely they are.
Yeah, they play a little bit more guitar, if you will, in them. But I got some Mannheim Steamroller with Chip Davis. I got some cocoa, that hot chocolate right here, cinnamon hot chocolate. Phil starts, I know what that is. So, yeah. And everybody said, well, Chad, it's a steamroller, right? Like a steamroller would steamroll it. But I'm like, yeah, but they're Siberian, Trans-Siberian. They're identifying as Siberia. So they're probably kind of badasses. You don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Do love hearing from you. Again, Flynn not going to jail today, not getting sentenced today. Went in there, kind of went a little bit pear-shaped, as they would say in England. Not really what a lot of people expected. His attorneys then asked to be sentenced at a later date. Judge said okay. And it's going to be very interesting to see what's going forward because a lot of people think he's going to cooperate a little bit more, but I don't know what more he's going to be able to do. He was only part of the transition team, right, for a little while. 24 days was his entire reign in the cabinet of President Trump, and I think then it was just President-elect Trump. So it's just a weird situation the way this thing's going. Text the program. Always love hearing from you. At Chad Benson Show is the Twitter. You can tweet at us. I try to get back to everybody I possibly can. I get a lot of stuff, right? You work it, you get a lot of stuff. That's what we're all about, kids. That's how we do it here. Check out the Facebook page as well, Chad Benson Show, and thechadshow.com. Grab your podcast. There it is, the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Michael Flynn walking into court today, head held high. Words of encouragement from President Trump. Good luck today in court, he tweeted. In court, Flynn was smiling, but Judge Emmett Sullivan was not. He tore into the former general for lying to the FBI about his contacts with the Russian ambassador and for illegally operating as an unregistered agent for the Turkish government. Pointing to the American flag, the judge said Flynn's secret work undermines everything this flag over here stands for.
Yeah, the judge was harsh to say the least. And remember, he wanders in there, right? So Flynn goes in there. He's facing 6 months. Let's just all step back for a second. This is, for all intents and purposes, is about him as an unregistered foreign agent, quote-unquote lobbyist, whatever you want to call it. That's what he did. He didn't register himself, and he lied to the feds. He lied to the feds on things that are immaterial in a situation. He knows they're being taped. He didn't have to lie, but he did. And it was stupid, and he got fired because he lied about what? He lied to Pence. That's why he got fired. On top of everything else, he lied to Pence. Let's remember all of these things. So he goes in there today, and I think because of the goodwill between, Mueller and the investigation and all of these things, I think because of all of that stuff, he kind of wanders on in there, and I think he thinks they're going to go in there. He's going to say, look, yeah, I lied, and I acted, and I should have registered, and I didn't. And they were going to say, all right, well, you were going to give you a year suspended sentence. You'll do no jail time, and like 3 years you pay a fine, and you're going to get 3 years of, non-supervised probation, something like just don't screw up again, because of your service to the country, blah, blah, blah. But instead, he wanders into the judge, and it seems to be, everything seems to be okay, and then, bow.
The judge said he felt disgust and disdain, adding, arguably, you sold your country out. It's been a head-spinning turnaround for the president's first national security advisor,
Michael Flynn,
who once said Hillary Clinton should be behind bars.
Yeah, that's right. Lock her up.
But facing a possible prison term himself, Flynn took a deal with special counsel Robert Mueller.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, at one time, he said something about him being treasonous, and that's when they looked over, and the prosecution side's like, wait, Wait, nowhere have we talked. He didn't sold his country. It's not treason. They took a break, and the judge comes back, and he's like, I apologize. That was probably some harsh words. You weren't treason. You didn't sell your country out or anything. You just were, you lied to the feds. That's what this is all about. We talk about it all the time. It's the cover-up. It's not the crime. Martha Stewart, who also was prosecuted by James Comey, they went after her, and he was very excited about that. He, and she's got some harsh words about old Jim, as she calls him. But it was about the lying, right? Because it was a civil matter at that point. She could have just paid a fine, but she lied, so they went after her, and they wanted to make an example of her. So all of this going on today, it realized it kind of became something completely different, and then his people say, well, can we have a postponement, potentially?
Today in court, he admitted he knew he was committing a crime when he lied to federal agents. The judge then making it clear he was seriously considering sending Flynn to prison, saying, I cannot assure you if you proceed today that you will not receive a sentence of incarceration. He told Flynn and his team to leave the courtroom to consider requesting a delay in the sentencing.
And that's what they did. And now it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because there are other people out there who are saying, you know what, he got a bit of the raw deal. He got bamboozled. He basically went out there and put himself in a situation that he didn't need to put himself in. And people do this out of fear because they look at the federal government and they say to themselves, I don't have the money. They can bring other people in my life into a situation. We talked to Jerome Corsi. He talked about the nightmare that's going on with his family right now. And even if you have the money, you don't have unlimited money. And that's what a lot of people are saying. So out of fear, people are willing to say, yeah, whatever. And I'll tell you whatever I know. Just don't send me to jail, and don't hurt any of my family members and send them to jail because they got caught up in some sort of mess.
He was coerced by threats against his son, threats against his fortune. And the reason I think he was innocent is even if he told an untruth, which it seems as if he did, it was not a material untruth.
Meaning, and that's Alan Dershowitz there, it was nothing to pertaining to anything that they were, quote unquote, investigating, right? Right? So if you would have said, what were you doing that last night? And maybe he was married, but he was having an affair, and so I was with my wife, and they knew that he wasn't with his wife. I'm just throwing this out there again. That's a lie. But is it material to the case at hand? No, it's not. So, yes, technically you lied, but it's not pertaining to anything that we're looking for. So we'll see what happens. He's got till March to figure this all out, and maybe they come back and say, you know what? No, we're gonna pass on this, and we're going to maybe try our hands at something else. You have no idea. He may cooperate more. And they also want him to cooperate over the fact that he had some ex-business associates or partners that he was working with who also have been indicted, having nothing to do with Trump or any of the other stuff, but as being foreign agents as well without registering. And they would like to have his cooperation on that. So we'll see what happens there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. Sad news today. Penny Marshall passed away. She was very interesting. I loved Penny Marshall, 75 years old. And, and I was talking to one of my producers, much younger. He's 23 years old. And he's like, I have no idea who she is as an actress. I mean, I know it Big. I love Big. And he goes, I love League of Their Own. And we call him the Hawaiian Crayons. Great dude. But he's like, I didn't know who she was as an actress. And I said, yeah, I think a lot of people had, no idea that she was an actress. Because a lot like Ron Howard, they got their fame, but then they went off and did other things. But for a lot of us, she'll be Laverne.
A society gentleman would only go out with you for one reason. To have a good time, a few laughs, and a little vodio-do-do. I don't vodio-do-do. You vodio-do-do.
Yeah. So 75, she died from complications from diabetes. I didn't know she was that sick. And she was, I loved what she did as a director. She's the first woman to direct a movie that crossed the $100 million threshold. Which is, that's pretty damn good. That really is pretty damn good. Unanswered questions going on when it comes to the death of this little girl at the quote-unquote hands, as some people are putting it, of immigration.
None of us has had a chance to talk to her father. We inquired a few days ago. The embassy said that he was too distraught. He wasn't speaking with anyone, which I know everybody understands. Yeah. So on top of that, and that's the Congress, they're trying to figure out what happened. They want to talk to the agents. I'm very disappointed that so far the commissioner will not make available the agents who were directly involved in handling Jacqueline and her father. Yeah, and it's a tragedy. And we will, again, we can discuss this ad nauseum. It was a horrible situation. She got on a bus. She looked fine. There's mixed messages about whether or not she'd been, it's not the agents. Up until the point that she gets there, it's not their responsibility to feed her and to make sure she has water, right? She came through Mexico. The dad said most of the trip was what? In a car. Wasn't on foot. It was in a car. She seemed fine. She got on the bus. She started to get sick. She started to vomit. She started to have trouble breathing. She then stopped breathing. The agents were, it was 90 minutes to where they were taking her. They resuscitated her enough that where she started breathing again, but they couldn't bring her back all the way, and eventually she passed away. Toxicology, they're going to look at everything. They're going to have a they're going to do everything they can to go through it from top to bottom. And look at everything. Was she sick? Did she have some sort of issue with her heart potentially? We don't know. But I was reading an article today in Salon Magazine, and they're just like, well, we should still abandon ICE. We should disband ICE, and we should get rid of INS, and we should do all. And my thought is, you're not going to get rid of customs and enforcement. You're not going to get rid of all of these things and expect that there's not going to be something behind it. Right? This is a tragedy. This is a horrible situation. Some 300 people have lost their lives in the last several years making that trek. It is awful. It is horrible. It is dangerous. And if it's 300, you could probably put it more towards 1,000, because how many of them never reach their destination where they end up dying? They die along the way, whether it be human traffickers, drug smugglers, whatever it is, it happens. It's a horrible thing. And like I said yesterday, the risk reward. He looked at his life and his child's life, and the risk was, I need to make it here, because if I get here, the reward is great. If we stay here, the chances of us having nothing and potentially her dying or any of us dying is greater. So you got to take the risk reward, and that's what they did. They're going to do an autopsy, and it'll be a few weeks before they get anything back. But this whole thing it's like this, like the immigration agents got her on it. Like, cool, let's strangle it. It didn't happen that way. It didn't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, you can tweet us. Corey Lewandowski, join us at the bottom of the hour. Somebody says yesterday, why don't you have on progressives? I said, I will. I invite all people on. But who comes on? Right? Who comes on? Who? I'll invite anybody on. You name it. Invite them on. Have them on. Doesn't mean they'll come on. It doesn't. We're going to ask Lewandowski, hey, you going to be his chief of staff? Why not, right? Like, if you're looking around,
Somebody even threw the mooch out the other day. I'm like, the mooch, really? No. I can see Lewandowski doing it. We'll talk to him at the bottom of the hour. A little say what for you later as well. And gender-neutral Santa. Yeah. Weeping is what I do. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Is a gender-neutral Santa coming to town? Well, maybe not this year, but could be soon. According to a new study, Santa needs a total makeover. Anyone interested in getting the Queer Eye Gang involved? A design company called Graphic Springs gathered suggestions on how to modernize Santa in a survey of 400 respondents from the UK and US. A selection of these suggestions were then voted on by over 4,000 people, and the results were surprising. For starters, about 10% said Santa should be a woman, and about 17% said Old Saint Nick should be gender neutral.
No! First of all, you guys know who St. Nicholas is? We will talk about it later on, but he's real. So we're not changing that. Secondly, just enough. The insanity of some of this stuff. So gender-neutral Santa, right? But they're not done with the survey, because if you're going to have Santa Claus, right? So you're going to have Old Saint Nick. You've got to do a modern style Saint Nick.
Santa should also ditch his iconic suit and switch it for skinny jeans, trainers, and a hoverboard. 20% think he should have tattoos, 22% a flying car, and 23% an Amazon Prime account. Add to that a diet and a new haircut, and what do you get? Modern Santa, a.k.a. your hipster neighbor.
Oh, that just sounds awful, right? Skinny jeans. I'm okay with the hoverboard. Of course, you're going to have an Amazon account, right? Because that's what Santa would do. But gender-neutral Santa. Like, that's where we are, people. That's people looking like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Some people. Not everybody. But some. They asked 4,000 people, right? And a little over 1,000 people said it should be either gender-neutral or female. What's wrong with the female? Can we not have anything, right? Can we just not go, hey, that's Santa Claus. This is the way it's been. Santa's good. We're good with this. Well, we're modernizing Santa. Okay, if you want to modernize Santa, I'm okay with that, right? If you want to modernize Santa, you want to give him a different look, got no problems with that. But then when you get to the point where we're going to make him gender neutral and all, Lord. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I feel like when I say those things, I just feel like I just get off my lawn guy. Don't you? Just kind of like, get off my lawn, you brr. Hey, will we or won't we have one of these things called a shutdown?
President Trump last week declared he would be proud to shut down the government over border security. But Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Tuesday morning the White House doesn't want to do that. Instead, she says the goal is to, quote, shut down the border from illegal immigration. Sanders signaled the president could drop his demand for $5 billion in a Department of Homeland Security funding bill and sign legislation that sets aside less money, averting a partial shutdown at the end of the week.
Yeah. So here's what happens. So let's say we all know, right? It's just everybody who's essential has to show up. So they'll close the national parks and all of those which is going to piss people off because some people are going camping and doing things like that over the holiday time. So that's going to happen. But what happens is they got to come back tomorrow and try to get it done. If they don't get it done, unless they do a CR, they have to show up to work on Monday and Tuesday. Monday is Christmas Eve, and Tuesday is Christmas Day. I don't think they want, unless they don't like their family, to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day hanging out with each other. I'm going to say no. That's just me. I could be wrong. But I feel like they're going to try to at least get a continuing resolution, a.k.a. kick the can down the road scenario. But even then, it's just how many of these have we been through? They're screaming, "Oh my God, the sky is falling!" It's not. And then when they do something, pat themselves on their back like you did your job. How about that? You did your job. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Trump has also said, "Hey, we'll get the $5 billion. We'll just take it from other agencies." He told everybody, "Go back to your agencies and see what you got left laying around." Right? We're going to pass around a hat. I want everybody to fill the hat up until we get to $5 billion. It's $5 billion, and then we'll go from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That there be your Twitter. Man, I'm Steamroller. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Who you got in a rumble? Corey Lewandowski, former campaign manager, and now New York Times bestselling author, joins us straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Crazy day. Politics is never not a crazy day anymore because of Trump, because of the media, because of the insanity. Let's go to the heart of it. Somebody understands it. Somebody that's lived through it. Campaign manager for Trump 2016. New York Times bestselling author. Trump Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. And a guy that comes on our show quite frequently. Love that. Corey Lewandowski. Man, crazy day in this world of politics, of course, with Flynn and all of this stuff going on. Corey, I got to ask you one quick question. Can you find anybody in D.C. with a bigger ego and more smug self-righteousness than James Comey?
No. And look, if that person does exist, he clearly outshadowed them. This guy has the worst messiah complex than anybody we've ever seen. He wants to be the sole determiner of what is right and what is classified and what is not classified, who will be prosecuted and who won't be. And no interest in taking any blame whatsoever for the morality FBI, which under him has been demoralized.
Yeah, he is just watching him over the last couple of days and listening to him and some of the things that he has said and done and just the attitude itself. Take away, no, I don't care what it is that he's talking about. It's you just look at him and go, I can't stand you. I don't care what you're doing. Even if it's right, I can't stand you because of your attitude.
Well, yeah, but where is the accountability for Jim Comey? We know that he's lied under oath, and in the real world we call that perjury. We know that he's given away classified information to the law professor so that could get leaked. We know that he's instructed individuals. He told us himself. He instructed individuals to go over and break the laws that related to Mike Flynn. They never Mirandized him. He never went through the White House counsel's office. He's had agents, White House, to interview Mike Flynn against every protocol, and there's been no accountability for it.
No, zero accountability. Flynn pled guilty to something that a lot of people say he shouldn't have pled guilty to, and that the reality is that he was this was more about Turkey and not registering and lying to Pence than it was anything else. And I think in a lot of ways he did get railroaded. And even though he made some mistakes and he should pay the price for those, he's being hung out to dry a little bit here.
Oh, look, there have been and there continue to be two separate sets of rules. One for the people who support Donald Trump and one for the people who support Hillary Clinton. Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, they all had immunity when they talked to the FBI. They had their devices literally smashed with hammers. They erased their emails after they were subpoenaed. No follow-up, nothing. Mike Flynn lies to the FBI, of which is the same thing that Andy McCabe did, who was the deputy director, lied to the FBI on 3 occasions. Mike Flynn is being sentenced today, very shortly, and Andy McCabe still walks around free.
Yeah, Insane. It really is. And again, I'm willing to listen to whatever people want to bring me. I'm as open-minded as anybody. I'm one of these guys that I want to see what the truth is, but I want you to show me the truth and not just your feelings. Talking to Corey Lewandowski, New York Times bestselling author, Trump Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency, the new book. You look forward, and it's going to be an interesting year, 2019. Obviously, when we last spoke, the House and the Senate weren't decided, but they are now. What do you expect come 2019? Because I think the people that are part of the swamp, the likes of Nancy Pelosi and them, will take a step back and try to get the younger generation to say, look, if we start to overreach here, we're going to pay a price for it. But what do you think is going to happen?
Look, I think absolutely Nancy Pelosi is going to overreach. She has an unbelievably progressive caucus that she has to deal with. She's already cut the deal to make her the speaker, but you see some of the new members of that Democratic caucus. They want to go and impeach Trump. They want to go after members of this administration, not for any crimes that they may or may not have committed, because there have been none, but instead just for the political reasons. And they're going to use the power of their subpoena to move their own agenda forward. They've been very candid about that, and that's at the detriment of the American people.
Yeah, I think the overreach, and I think you know this better than anybody, having been in politics, there's a certain niceness at times where you don't have to be the party that's always defending everything, and you can play a little offense rather than defense. And if you overreach here, you overstep yourself, you can shoot yourself in the foot. And I think that's the worry that Nancy's going to have to face here, is if she overreaches and the country turns on her.
Well, and they will. Look, the American people don't want to see our country mired in investigation after investigation for the next 2 years, and the Democrats using their bully pulpit to go and attack this president for doing nothing but trying to help every American by putting more people back to work, renegotiating bad trade deals, and making our military stronger. And look, if they go down the path which they are threatening to do, they will be out of the majority in 2 years, and it will ensure a Trump re-election in 2020.
Talking to Corey Lewandowski, New York Times bestselling author, Trump Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. You look at what's going on in Washington, and then you take a step back and you look around the rest of the country, and we get this myopic view at times of just what's happening in the Beltway. But the reality is people are worried. The new poll out says that people are starting to become pessimistic about the economy. And you and I both know if you're winning, it cures all ills in a lot of ways. But when things start to slow down, sometimes those noises get a little bit louder. Should there be some worry out there in the Trump presidency world, especially if the economy slows down instead of moving forward and chugging along quite nicely, but slows down to a crawl?
Well, I mean, look, the good news is the fourth quarter GDP forecast was out. It says it looks like it's 3% or more, which means the economy is still growing. We also know that we are now at 3.7% unemployment, which means every person who wants a job has one. There's 6 million new empty jobs right now. But look, the media narrative is now going to turn to one from the economy has been doing great, and now all of a sudden the stock market has a couple bad days, and they're blaming Donald Trump for it, when every time the market was up, the 60 or 70 or 80 new highs that it reached in the last 2.5 years since the time he was elected, they gave him no credit for it. That was all Barack Obama's doing. Now that it's had a bad couple of weeks, guess what? Oh, it's all Donald Trump's fault. So, look, our economy is chugging along. You do have to be careful. We are seeing a housing slowdown. The housing market's getting soft in some of our big cities, particularly, you look back at Las Vegas, you look at San Diego, you look at the California area, the market is starting to get a little softer there. So you have to be careful, because if the economy goes the other way, it makes a re-election effort very, very difficult.
Yeah, and the re-election, that's going to be very interesting because, it's one of those things where I look out and I say, how much more do you want to put yourself through if you're Donald Trump? Your brand, which was your name, has been dragged through the mud, and you can arguably say that he's done some of that to himself, but at other times the media has played a role in this. But at what point in time do you say, I've done a lot of stuff, I'm over this? Because, who in God's name, I don't care, right or left, would want to put themselves through this hell? And I said the same thing for Obama and Bush. At some point in time, you just got to say to yourself, I've had enough.
Well, you would think so, but, I had the privilege of having lunch last week with the president for a couple hours. I asked him about it, and he loves getting up and fighting every day, fighting for what he thinks is right, fighting for, his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren, if he's fortunate enough to have them, so that our country is in better shape. And, you look at what he's done with bringing the manufacturing base back, 600,000 new manufacturing jobs, steel workers, coal miners back to work, where, that wasn't happening before. And that's why he gets up and fights every day. And I'll tell you what, it is a burden I don't think I could do, because he has very broad shoulders, and he needs them for all the fake news that comes out after him.
Corey, as we talked to Corey Lewandowski, former campaign manager for Donald Trump, New York Times bestselling author, Trump Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. You get a lot of blowback out there. It doesn't matter what it is. It's you fought with, you and Kelly went to blows, or the Down syndrome, you grabbed a wall, all these kind of things. What is it like just on a very small scope of the hell that people you deal with every day? Because I'm sure you go places and people are like, oh, Corey Lewandowski, nice to meet you. And you go places and people give you hell for it. I couldn't even imagine what that's like on a daily basis.
Look, honestly, for me, I've got pretty thick, shoulders, pretty thick skin. I don't mind it. What I do mind, though, is if I'm out somewhere with my family and somebody wants to kind of be the wise guy in front of when my family's with me. If I'm by myself and someone wants to come up to me and say something that they don't like the way I've done something or what I've said, I'm actually perfectly fine with that. Everyone's entitled to it. But what I don't ever remember is I don't ever remember when the Republicans were doing that to people in the Obama administration, when we were chasing people out of restaurants, when we were saying, if you see them, go after them. When they go low, kick them. That never happened. And part of that, the reason for that is because, the media has allowed this. And you look at what Eric Holder has said. You look at what Maxine Waters has said. They are encouraging and inciting violence against people because they don't agree with them politically. And if you think, for 1 second, if the Republicans were to do that, the media would give us a pass. No way. And look, I go to a lot of airports. I do a lot of traveling. By and large, most people come up to me and say, hey, thank you, and tell the president to keep fighting for us. We appreciate it. But there's always a couple of those others who think they want to be a tough guy and say something to see if they can arouse something out of me, which, I'll just tell you this. I'm not a flowering violet, so if you're going to come after me, you just better be sure you understand what the consequences are.
That's going to hit the king. You better kill the king, right?
It's something like that. That's exactly right.
Okay, the job's open, and I have heard everybody's name thrown out there. Why not you for chief of staff?
Well, look, there are some very, very good candidates. I know Mick Mulvaney well. He's a friend of mine. He's got an important job for the next 60 days. And I was very clear when I had the privilege to talk to the president about this. And I said, sir, I think it's the most important decision you're going to make in your presidency for the next 2 years of who you bring in as the chief of staff. And look, I would serve in a capacity if the president asked me to or needed me to. But I'm also, and you know this, one of the few advocates on the outside who can go on TV with a profile and defend this president against the attacks that he's gotten. There's not a lot of us that do it. I'm happy to do it. And not being inside the government gives me the freedom to do and say things that you can't do if you do go inside.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I mean, there's that certain sense of, in some ways, being somewhat tied down and having to follow certain rules that you don't have to follow outside of there, where you can go on and be a free thinker. So what are you doing these holidays? Here it is. I mean, it's holiday time. You got something big planned? You going to take some time off or what?
Well, look, I literally flew across the country in the red eye last night from San Diego back to Boston. I've been on the book tour. I'm in Pennsylvania on Thursday on the book tour. And so, look, I'm hoping that starting that week of Christmas there, whatever that is, the 23rd, 4th, that Monday, spend the time with my family up in New Hampshire, get a little downtime, and then right back to the campaign trail and starting with some more book stuff in the beginning of January. I think we've got, we're on the road 20 or 21 days in January. Dave Bossie and I talking about the new book, Trump's Enemies, and telling people what's really going on in Washington. So I'm excited about it, and it's a lot of fun, but, hopefully I'll get a little time at home.
Amen, brother. Well, I can't wait. I'm sure we'll talk in the new year. Corey Lewandowski, New York Times bestselling author, Trump Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. Have a safe and Merry Christmas and a good new year, and we'll talk to you next year, brother.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. I kind of heard that there, though. Like, if he came to me and asked me, why not? Man, Lewandowski would be perfect for that job. right? Because he gets along with the president, and, you got to find somebody. Why not him? He helped you with your campaign. He did a lot for you. He's good in the media. It might not be the worst thing. I'm just saying, maybe we're breaking some here, maybe we're not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
Students learn a lot in high school: algebra, Spanish, chemistry, and more. But what about basic life skills? That was the purpose behind an adulting day at Bullitt Central High School. Seniors got some intensive one-on-one with people from our community, teaching topics to help in the real world.
Come on. Sounds like she's had a few pops, been over to the eggnog a few times. So they had adulting day. Let me tell you about adulting day. It is awesome. Let me tell you what they learned. I'm going to tell you guys, at adulting day, they learned all kinds of stuff. Take it away, reporter.
Seniors will get one-on-one mentoring time with people from the community who will teach them things like dorm room cooking, changing a tire, credit cards, and financing. Other topics like doing taxes, talking to police officers, especially during traffic stops. Also getting homesick when you're away at college and how to handle it.
Yeah, well, that'll happen, right? You're going to get homesick because mom's not there to do the things that you like to have done, right? And you miss your family, you miss your friends. You spend your entire life with these people. A lot of times you live in the same area. You go through life with same friends, and then all of a sudden you branch out and you're somewhere new and it's big and it's different. But how to talk to a police officer, which I guess nowadays we have to have this conversation. Right? We didn't have to. Back in the olden days, it was just kind of like it was yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. That went kind of for everybody. But we have to have these conversations. Changing a tire. I've changed several tires, but then I got to the point where I also got AAA. I thought, I'm not paying this for nothing. But, yeah, changing a tire, everybody should change at least one tire. Shouldn't be that. Now, I was the whole time I'm thinking, do they have like a car there with a flat and you would show them how to jack it up and then change the tire? Do you not have that? I mean, how does that work? Because you can. And here's the other thing. If you really need an adulting day, teaching them person to person, isn't it? You should have just YouTubed it. Right? That would have been the best idea. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about the tube.
I think the idea occurred to me originally. I saw a Facebook post that parents kept passing around that say they need a class in high school on taxes and cooking. And our kids can get that, but they have to choose it. And today was a day that they can pick and choose pieces that they didn't feel like they have gotten so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Because some kids are missing out on that stuff, for whatever reason. We live in a different time. You know how to change a tire. I know how to change a tire. They know how to fix your phone if it goes south. A different world. Try to blend those worlds. It's a good thing. But the taxes thing, some of that stuff, and the police thing, I was really like, wow, yeah, I guess, that's what we always hear. I mean, they're giving classes out on how to talk to an officer. How about just be respectful? Like, you only have to watch one night of live PD to realize that 95% of what police officers do in this country is dealing with other people's crap. That's a lot of what it is. They go and they deal with other people's crap. Whatever that crap may be. They're fighting over the most just insane stuff. I just step back at times and go, oh, my God. It's awful. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. People tweeting in. Some people saying, I don't think Flynn did it. Some people saying, Chad, you're spinning it. Look, this is the way I look at the entire thing when it comes to Mueller. If there's something there, it'll come out. We'll go, wow, look at this. Trump, them, they're in cahoots. He needs to go. I can say that. A lot of other people out there, they'll say, no, that's lie. It's deep state. It's baloney. And on the other side, if it comes out that, yeah, there were some people around him and they were some shady characters at times, but really can't point anything to Trump, there'll be people out there going, oh, wow, I couldn't believe that. I sure hell thought it was Trump's fault. And on the other side, there'll be people out there going, no, he got away with it. He got away with it. You can't win for losing, and you can't lose for winning. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The judge postponed the sentencing after defense attorneys thought it better to give Michael Flynn more time to cooperate with federal prosecutors. Flynn's business partner was just charged with unregistered lobbying for Turkey, and Flynn may be called to testify. A representative from special counsel Robert Mueller's team said it also remains a possibility Flynn is still cooperating with them. The defense request for a delay followed strong language from the judge that included a question of whether Flynn committed treason.
What? Like, that was a big thing today. And he was only facing 6 months in jail. He's not going to jail for years. People are raising the question of whether or not he should even have pled guilty to some of this stuff. And what other people are saying is that, you know what, they've gone after him because they've got the money, they've got the power, and they put the pressure on him to essentially roll because they want the guy at the top.
He was coerced by threats against his son, threats against his fortune. And the reason I think he was innocent is even if he told an untruth, which it seems as if he did, it was not a material untruth.
Meaning, that's Alan Dershowitz, pretty smart guy. Meaning it wasn't anything that, who cares, right? Right? What they were talking about had nothing to do with any of the stuff that they were doing. And people are wondering, like the FBI, you've got people in the FBI saying, well, we never said he lied, but then you guys over here are saying he's lying. And a lot of what he's in trouble for is the fact that he didn't register as a foreign agent. He was lobbying for on Turkey's behalf. He didn't register. He took money, and then he got fired because he lied to Pence. That's a big thing. He embarrassed Pence. It was like 24 days into it, and he lied to Pence. I know it's Pence, but still, right? Still. It's sad. It is. It is. This whole situation is just a nightmare. And if you're him, because I look around and I say, do I think that he has done something that is treasonous? I do not. Even the prosecution looked at the judge and was like, whoa, dude, we don't think he did anything treasonous, right? We think he lied to us, which in our world is the most important. You tell the truth to us. We're the most important thing in the world. So you tell us the truth. That's it. You tell us the truth. So, and I don't know what he's going to out of this entire situation. I don't think he was going to do any time, but I think they were a little taken back by the way they came after him and some of the things they said that really, I think, definitely caught him on his heels.
Before he handed down the sentence, the judge scolded Michael Flynn. This crime is very serious, he said, in the White House, in the West Wing, by a high-ranking security officer who up to that point had an unblemished career of service. The judge said he could not hide his disgust for Flynn's offense and told him, arguably, you sold your country out.
Again, what Flynn did was stupid. He lied about something he didn't need to lie about. This was after the election. Remember, incoming transition team after the election. He's speaking to the Russian ambassador. He's talking about some things. They know because they've got him recorded. He lied about it when he didn't need to. Also, there's the question of, well, why didn't he have an attorney? Like, there, when you guys were going to talk to him and question him. Because there's this whole thing where some people in the FBI said, we told him he didn't need an attorney, it's no big deal. And there's other people that said, well, wait a minute, we did say he needed an attorney, and you're not quite sure. And then James Comey this past Friday said some stuff that is also racing, because we all know James, who is, he's above it all, better than everybody else, the greatest of all the greats, definitely the person who walks on thine water.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. If the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
And there you go. Do I think he's done some stuff? Oh, I think he played the game. I think he got some money. I think everybody was always trying to pad their pocketbooks, it seems, around the president, some long before they ever met him, some while he wasn't president, but they were working with them, and some who I think, once again, did some stuff he knew that he shouldn't have done. But we will see what takes place moving forward from here and how much more he's going to cooperate. What else does he know? That's just it. What else does he know? Because they've got all the phone recordings, apparently. So how much more did you know? And what exactly did you know before the election? Not after, talking to the Russians, stuff like that. What else did you know?
Think of the markets as both a forecaster of the economy as well as a driver. When people look at the stock market, these wild swings, it can impact their behavior, how much money they spend going forward. And now you're starting to hear from economists that R word, recession, looking over the next 2 years, that's something that can become a very real possibility as these wild swings impact how we behave as consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. As it's Christmas time, people are spending money. We're looking out to 2019. December's been absolutely atrocious when you look at how bad it's been in the stock market, and that is an indicator. So, driver, there's so many things that go into it, and some of it is a touch and feel thing, right? Some of it's kind of art, massaging the interest rates, and our interest rates have been so low for so long, and we're probably going to see a little bump tomorrow. Don't really know. It's a possibility. But it hasn't been a good month. But, if you're looking at your stocks, you got to think, it's a long game. But people are worried, pessimistic about where we might be headed come 2019. I think if we start to see some of the recession, it'll be towards the end of next year. And I continue to say it is, how do we react to it? Is it going to be a crash, right? Or is it going to be essentially a touchdown? We gather our feet and get our sea legs and off we head again. But when you look at things like the debt, we have a lot of debt. Some people never recovered from 2007. So we have a ton of debt. We have a new generation that is out in the workforce that wasn't there in 2007, that is there now, and they're saddled with debt. They're not going to be a driver moving forward. And that's something I think that people really need to understand for this younger generation here is they've already got a mortgage. They've got a mortgage. It's called student loans. And that is interesting. What should be the driving force is a new wave of people coming out, creating jobs and working. The problem is they're saddled with so much debt that they're not coming out. They're not buying houses. They're not becoming the part of the economy the way that other people were, just because of what they're saddled with. So that's going to be really interesting moving forward to see how this whole thing plays itself out, because if you look also globally, we got more debt than we did in 2007. People are starting to get a little skittish. That's going to be interesting, right? And on top of all of that, when you take all of that in, you look at housing. Starting to slow down. Places across the country where there are indicators of new housing and building. Because what happens when people buy new homes? What do? They go buy stuff to put in their new homes, which drives the economy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us.
Penny Marshall's career took off in 1976 when she was cast in a Happy Days spin-off, Laverne and Shirley.
Your first sincere proposal of matrimony. Yeah, the wedding's this weekend.
In a 1979 interview, ABC's Barbara Walters asked Marshall if she knew she had become a success.
I guess I know it, but it wasn't quite this.
Marshall began directing. Big in 1988 was the first movie directed by a woman to gross over $100 million. Her other films included Awakenings and A League of Their Own.
Yep, 75, passed away today. Complications of diabetes. Of course, Gary Marshall has passed away as well. But, man, a lot of stuff that she did. And I liked Laverne and Shirley. I loved Happy Days. It was a great show. Right? Like, that's one of the few shows you can look back on today and say, well, you could probably play that today. I mean, people will think it's stupid and weird and some, 50s nostalgia. But as far as you could get away with it, kind of, like, you're never getting away with Archie Bunker, right? Sanford and Son, maybe. Probably not, right? Like the Honeymooners, a lot of these things in this social justice world that we live in, probably not. But you look at Happy Days, and you can still see it on TV and go, I like that show. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And by the way, she passed away at 75. Keith Richards, happy 75th birthday as you get ready to tour. Yeah, he's 75. Not going anywhere. AMAC, amazing. amac.us/Chad. Benefits too numerous to mention. Like so many benefits, travel, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, you name it, they've got it. On top of that, they're going to help you with a lot of things. And politically, they're going to advocate on your behalf for things like Social Security reform, right? That's awesome, right? They're going to advocate on your behalf for immigration reform. They're going to advocate on your behalf to get government out of your health care across the board. So if you want a conservative alternative to ARP, this is what it is. It is AMAC. And right now, for my listeners, that's you guys. You guys can join for free. 1 year, it's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. AMAC is better for you, better for America. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Will we have a shutdown? Will we have a wall? Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker anytime of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
The White House is signaling how President Trump could back down from his threat to shut down the government over border wall funding. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said on Fox News that the White House has identified, quote, a number of different funding sources that it can couple with funding Congress appropriates to get to the $5 billion the president's demanded for the border wall. But what are those different funding sources that would make up the several billion-dollar difference? Sanders didn't say. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
GoFundMe. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a GoFundMe. How important is it? I mean, do you really the wall is like super important? Well, yeah, it's got to be. When we look at all of this other stuff that is happening, 40% of the people that come here illegally come here via the visa program they just land here. They're supposed to be here on a vacation or work or something, and they just never leave, right? They come over, I'm going to be here for 2 weeks. They're here for 10 years, right? I mean, that's one of the things people are talking about. The amount of it's going to stop drugs. Nah, a lot of those drugs are coming through the ports. So, I mean, is it for a lot of people, and I think even a lot of Republicans who won't say it out loud, but they'll say it to me off the record, and some will, like outgoing Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona.
The notion of a wall, as it's perceived, just was never that important, really, to the party, because it's not that important to border security. We need barriers, but not the wall.
Yeah, I don't know. But Trump says he's willing to shut this thing down. And I don't know. Now, if they, quote unquote, shut it down, they would have to come back on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. which I don't think they want to do. So they'll get a continuing resolution to push it out a little bit further, and they'll battle a little bit more. I find it stupid. And if I'm the Democrats, I understand why, you know what, you're not going to give in, right? That's going to hurt you. And here's the thing. You're not going to give in at all. Nancy Pelosi has made it completely clear, as has the Shumey.
Leader Schumer and I have said that we cannot accept the offer they made of $1 billion slush fund for the president to implement his very wrong immigration policies. So that won't happen.
Yeah. So, and even if he throws out a path to citizenship for DACA and some of these others, I just don't think they're going to do it. And I get a lot of pushback from people. Oh, man, it should be the wall. It's got to be the wall. The wall's going to be great. It's going to be. No, I don't think it's going to do what you think it's going to do. For a lot of people, they think it's going to be this amazing thing. I just don't see it doing the same thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. So, Producer Phil, last night was the first night I've been home in like 6 days, and I got to see my cat. So, for you guys you don't know, my cat two Saturdays ago got out and jumped the fence. And about 30 minutes later, he's at the door, and he'd been shot in his leg with a pellet gun. So last night was the first night seeing him where he was shaved and his leg was taken off because it was shattered so bad they couldn't even fix it. It's a trip, dude. But it's so weird because they took it off on Friday. And, man, he's already flying around the house, bouncing around. It is insane. Animals adapt like that. And it's weird because one of the other things that they were saying is that for the first 3 or 4 days, he won't want to eat anything, but make sure he gets a little bit of water. And they said the animals know that they want all of their effort in their body to be healing the part that's wounded, not trying to do things like digest. And I thought, oh, I never even thought of that, because we digest everything, right? That's what we do here. We just love digesting. We are nutritional overachievers in this country. I saw a study today that said that people who lack sleep and are tired are driven to eat fast food. Yeah, they have a craving for fast food. I just think it's in front of us all the time. And when you're tired, a lot of times you don't want to do something. It's just easy to go fast food. That's it. It's just easy to go fast food. Pull up, grab it, eat. And then if you don't, you start to get hangry, right? And last thing you want to do is cook something. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Check out thechadshow.com. You can grab the podcast. We're available across all kinds of social media, like the Facebook as well. Flynn, not going to jail yet. Probably won't go to jail at all. Touch on that. Transgender athletes. Interesting story. I'll tell you how I feel about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
At first, Michael Flynn appeared relaxed and told the judge he was guilty and ready to be sentenced. His mood visibly changed after a scolding from the judge, who said he was so disgusted by Flynn's lies to the FBI that he considered sending him to prison, despite a recommendation by the special counsel for no prison time. Flynn opted to delay his sentence to give him the chance for more cooperation, and he'll return to court in March.
Yeah. And he was a bit surprised. They went in there, but he said he was loosey-goosey and they were relaxed. And they thought it was going to be one of those things. We're going to tell him you shouldn't have done what you did. You know what you did wrong. And the judge was going to say, well, we're going to give you, you pay a fine, or who knows what they would have given him. And instead, It was exact opposite of that. The judge kind of looked at him, went, and next thing you know, he's screaming words like treason and saying stuff like this.
Before he handed down the sentence, the judge scolded Michael Flynn. This crime is very serious, he said, in the White House, in the West Wing, by a high-ranking security officer who up to that point had an unblemished career of service. The judge said he could not hide his disgust for Flynn's offense and told him, arguably, you sold your country out.
Ooh. Crazy. And it was, as he's saying these things and talking about treason and stuff, you've got the special counsel going, we never said anything about treason. I don't think it was anywhere close to treason. Right? You didn't register as a foreign agent and you lied to us, and you know that you can do all of those other things, but if you lie to us, that's what we really care about, because you should know who we are. So we won't find out anything more as far as his sentencing till March, so we'll see how much more he's going to help out. He's got a couple of his former cohorts that he worked with that are also been indicted as being foreign agents and not registering, so he might have to testify against them. So, but he only faced up to 6 months in jail. It wasn't like he was going to jail for years, right? It wasn't. Well, it was the whole Russia thing. Well, this was not pre-election. This was after election, and his real crime was the lie, not any of the other things he did. Don't lie. You just don't lie. Ask Martha Stewart. She knows better than anybody when it comes to James Comey. Should they be allowed to compete? That is a good question. And it's not an easy answer. You've got transgender athletes, especially in high school now, who are participating in ways that they never did before. And look, if you're a boy becoming a girl, I have an issue with it, especially if you're not doing any hormone therapy. The advantage you have is tremendous, especially if you are already somewhat athletic. If you're a girl becoming a boy, I don't have the same problem with it. I don't. And it's crazy because there's a lot of these things going on. You got a girl here in Connecticut who is going through a situation like this, and she's being allowed to compete, but a lot of parents saying she shouldn't be allowed to compete.
Andrea changed her name and pronouns with the school district before her freshman year. That allowed her to participate with and against girls, since the CIAC defers to the school districts on gender identification.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I know it's not fair. It's not. It's not fair. It's just not. Well, yeah, Chad, it is, because we're all the exact same. We're not. Men inherently, bigger bone density, stronger, faster. It's not fair. It just isn't. And in a track situation where she beats and blows a lot of other people away, parents are pissed, and rightly so. I get it. And I think if she was going through all the hormone therapy, and up to this point when this was by the sounds of it, she's not going through any of it. So you think about it. She's had 15, 16, 17 years where she's got testosterone. She has all these other things. She may identify as a female, but biologically, and I know this thing is crazy. She's still male. The fact that we have these conversations, insane. You've got to watch how you say it because you're going to get in trouble. I look at this and I say the reality is it's not fair. It isn't. Let me tell you, I played indoor soccer for years, and 20 pounds overweight with me and my buddies. We played in a co-ed league. We had a couple girls that were okay, but we played against a team that the guys weren't very good, and they had a couple girls on their team that were all U.S. national team players, and they couldn't get the ball from us. These are women who won, a World Cup, and we're knocking the ball around. We were bigger. We were stronger. It is not fair. I'm not trying to be a jerk. If they want to let her compete and they say it's okay, I get it, but I can see the other side of it. If you're a parent and you're seeing your child lose over and over and over again in a situation where you feel like it's not a level playing field.
Extremely grateful, because I've heard of stories where some people
I guess they'll get the same opportunity as me and have had to go through like really hard times.
And there were hard times. Andrea says in 7th grade she felt like a distraction when she was just being herself.
Yeah, I didn't want to look like that outsider, like that sore thumb in the crowd.
Yeah. Again, not trying to be a jerk. People are going to take it that way because somebody's going to grab this and they're going to run with this. And they're going to say, look at this guy's transphobic. No, knock yourself out. Go ahead. I'm behind you 110%. Live the life that you want to live, however you want to identify yourself. That is up to you. That is your own life as long as you're not hurting anybody. But in a situation where there's something like this and there's a competition going on, I can see the side where people get pissed. I absolutely 110% can. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Penny Marshall's passed away, age 75.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, we're a hit show and people recognize you in the street. That makes me a little paranoid, but I mean, people are looking at you, so I don't know whether I'm supposed to. You just feel people, glancing at you. I guess I know it, but then success was something strange. I mean, I don't know what success was going to mean, but it wasn't quite this as a man.
Yeah, she had success. She had a long career. Obviously, Laverne and Shirley was huge, but her directing and producing career was massive. She did big, A League of Their Own. And, she passed away at age 75, and we're joking that at 75, Keith Richards is getting ready to tour. Is he the oldest? I wonder if he's the oldest of the Rolling Stones. What do you think, Phil? You think he's the oldest? I mean, probably biologically. Yeah, biologically, he may not be the oldest. But as far as his body and what he's put his body through, I would say he's up there. Let's see here. Mick Jagger. How old's Mick? Mick is 75 too. All right. So Mick and just had a kid, by the way. Mick just had Charlie Watt is 77. Still looking good. Right? That's pretty good. Man. And Bill Wyman, how old do you think Bill is? Oh my God. How old do you think Bill is?
73.
82. He was born, Phil, 3 years before World War II. Think about that. And they're going on tour. When my grandma was 75, she didn't even know how to operate the microwave. That was foreign to her. She would call. Well, my great-grandma would call the house, and we had one of those old phone machines where you had the tape in it, and you'd record it. You push play and record. Hey, this is the blah, 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 blah. We're not here. And so she would call the house, and then we get these weird messages where it would be my voice, but she would be talking to me and getting mad because I wasn't answering back the way that she wanted me to because she didn't realize that. Oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. We're getting closer and closer to a shutout. Sarah Sanders speaking about it, and it's about that damn wall.
The President's asked every one of his cabinet secretaries to look for funding that can be used to protect our borders.
So get the funding by any means necessary. I don't care how you do it. I don't care what you need to do. You need to go out and you need to find that funding. You turn every stone that you find. You overturn it. We need that money. Somebody start a GoFund. We should start a GoFundMe for the wall. We should. I wonder how much we could raise. What if let's say we put it out there for like $10 million and we hit $10 million. How much of that wall is ours? And could we sponsor it? Could be the Chad Benson show wall, and then we could decorate it however we want. We could make it. We could make a door. We could have several doors on it, right? We could make it a fence. We could make it an invisible wall, right? With just a neon light that says "open."
Once they make a decision and they put something on the table, we'll make a determination on whether or not we'll move forward.
Yeah, because apparently he is kind of shying away-ish from the whole, better get money or else kind of thing. So you better give us money or maybe, I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Casper Mattress. God, I got to sleep in my mattress last night. Felt so good. My body was sore. 5 days, traveling around, doing stuff. walking all over amusement parks, running around with the kids, sleeping on horrible mattresses, hurting my hips and my knees and my back. The Casper mattress one night, boom, feel amazing. It is the most amazing mattress. Switching to Casper is absolutely a no-brainer. I sleep cool and comfortable, and because of that, and the combination of the foams, it's uniquely designed, gives you the right pressure relief and alignment. Boom, it's amazing. Now, 100 nights, risk-free in your own home. What's that mean? They're going to send it to you. You're going to get a little box. You can go, how is it in there? You're like, I don't even know. You're going to open up, boom, pops out. Next thing you know, you got this perfect, amazing, beautiful mattress. They're going to give you a chance to try it for 100 nights free in your risk-free in your own home. If you don't like it, you say, look, for whatever reason, I didn't like it, come take it back. They will pick it up. You don't have to try to stick it back in the box. They will take it away, and they will refund you your money. No questions asked. That's what it means, 100 nights risk-free in your own home. Who else is doing that? Nobody. Try it now. Go to Casper.com. Use my code CHAD. You save yourself $50 toward the purchase of selected mattresses. Casper.com, code CHAD. Casper.com, code CHAD. Saving you money right there. Terms and conditions apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Students learn a lot in high school, algebra, Spanish, chemistry, and more. But what about basic life skills? That was the purpose behind an adulting day at Bullitt Central High School. Seniors got some intensive one-on-one with people from our community, teaching topics to help in the real world.
I feel like she's had a few. Like she's dipped into the nog. Just a smidge. Let's talk about, hey, kids. Kids are doing stuff and they not should be doing it. This is and here's the piece that we did on this.
Seniors will get one-on-one mentoring time with people from the community who will teach them things like dorm room cooking, changing a tire, credit cards, and financing. Other topics like doing taxes, talking to police officers, especially during traffic stops, also getting homesick when you're away at college and how to handle it.
Homesick, I guess, but I mean, what are you going to teach? Okay, I'm going to teach you how to be homesick? Changing a tire. Everybody's got AAA, right? Or some form of that. I pay for the damn thing. Come put the tire on, right? But I can change a tire. I've changed several tires. But, how to talk to a police officer. The fact that we have to even have this discussion in this day and age of what, okay, this is what you should and shouldn't say to a police officer. It should be yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. When they ask you do you know what you did wrong? Just be honest. You'd be surprised at how cool they can be. Some are going to be jerks, right? That's everything. But, why'd you get pulled over? Do you know why I pulled you over? Like it's a guessing game? Because I'm awesome is not the answer. Because I was going too fast. Because I ran a red light. Because I did this. I mean, but the fact that we have to engage people, and we have to have a day where we engage all these kids, and let me tell you how to change a tire, how to cook in a dorm. Oh, my Lord.
Students learn a lot in high school, algebra, Spanish, chemistry, and more. She's
had a few. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like she has, right? Like, listen. She's not done. Like, this is my favorite part.
Seniors got some intensive one-on-one with people from our community.
People from what?
People from our community.
From where?
People from our community.
People got stuff in the junk and whatnot. I don't even care. Merry Christmas. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So there's a new farm bill that is out. And I want everybody, this is very important because there's something in the farm bill that is going to change a lot.
A representative from Puerto Rico who I spoke with, Congresswoman Jennifer Gonzalez Colon, had talked about how this provision would take out cockfighting from U.S. territories. And I was surprised to see that in Puerto Rico, it's actually quite a bit of their economy. It's roughly $18 million in terms of the impact there in the economy. 27,000 direct and indirect jobs tied to the cockfighting industry. It's an industry that's been regulated since 1933. I was surprised because this is obviously illegal in all 50 states in the U.S., but still something culturally about it in the territories.
Oh, now is it racist if they take cockfighting out of the territories? That's a question right there. It's culturally, it's not. Right? Culture, this is our culture. Yeah, but we don't do that. We don't do that here. Yeah, but it's our culture. But they're going to take that out. Cockfighting out of... There was a guy a couple years ago who got killed in California. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that story, Phil, where the guy got slashed in the leg and then he tried to hide from the police when they broke it up because one of the big rooster things, because they put like gladiator stuff on their arms, right? So they cut each other, and it sliced him really bad, and he tried to hide. And he bled out. I shouldn't be laughing about that. Your stories are awful and they're horrible and they're anti-Christmas and you're a jerk. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I do love hearing from you. People are mad. They're sending in. Some people are saying, look, Chad, I understand what you're saying about the trans person. Because I said earlier, it is, to me, I look at it very difficult when you have a trans athlete who is a male, who hasn't gone through hormones, who hasn't done any of those things. And there hasn't been and when they've started going through it, they don't have this long gap between when they started hormone therapy. So they still have testosterone and it's built up over, 8, 10, 12, 15, 13, 16, 17 years. And they're competing against girls. And I just think it's unfair. And people are like, no, and then some people are like, yeah, I could see that. I mean, you say no now, but then if it's your kid that comes up to you and say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore, it's unfair. Then how would you feel? Right? It's always when you're the outside looking in, it's always easy to say, oh, that's just those parents are horrible and they're wrong and they're transphobic. But if it was your child that came to you, how would you feel? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. All right. Your useless Christmas fact of the day. If you were to buy all 12 days of Christmas this year, little jump in price, about $450 from last year. $39,094.93 would be the cost this year for your Christmas goodies in the 12 days of Christmas. I wouldn't even know where to get a good portion of those. Where the hell do you even get a turtle dove? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter, kids. Good rest of your day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.